field, or I'm sorry, the EDS, electrodynamic dust shield, which uses an electric field to move harmful lunar dust off the surfaces in need of protection. And here to show us how this payload works is the principal investigator, Dr. Charles Buehler. Are you ready for some show and tell, folks? This one's going to be fun.
That's right. I got some props here to share.
All right, first of all, talk about EDS. What is it and why do we need it?
The EDS is a system developed here at KSC for the last 25 years or so.
Wow.
To lift and remove dust from surfaces without any moving parts, gases, or fluids. And we incorporated our EDS technology into various substrates to do just that.
And that's important because this regolith on the moon, it's abrasive, right?
It's very abrasive and it is potentially toxic, yes.
So we don't want that on our equipment or spacesuits or anything that's moving. Okay, so how does, you've got this setup here.
Sure.
And to your left, the thing that you're holding there, that's kind of what is encasing your payload, right?
This is actually the spare parts of our payload.
Okay, all right. So explain how that works when it gets on the moon.
So when we land on the moon, a few hours after landing, we deploy a fifth leg, or an SAA, surface access arm, which will deploy two instruments, us and PlanetVac, and it will jettison us separately after that a few hours later, and we will softly land on the moon like this.
And how are you going to make sure that you get regolith inside there? Because you need that dirt in there. You need it to get dirty.
We absolutely do. So we're dust from the surface and direct it and deflect it onto our EDSs.
Hold that up for a second, Dr. Buehler, because you can see through those little bands, right? What are those? It looks like that the dirt can pass through them.
Those are just electrodes. The same thing in our transparent EDSs.
They can kick up the regolith onto it? Okay.
Okay,
and so now let's show us how this technology works. Once you get it dirty,
once you get it dirty with the reduster, you can show here. So if you have a glass system, a camera lens or something,
we got a camera.
You can get it really dirty on the moon.
Oh yeah, okay.
And that's bad news.
Yeah.
So you don't want that. So you want to turn on your EDS and then voila, dust will
Look at that, just right off the surface.
Yeah.
And that is electrical current that's created.
That is an AC square wave signal.
Okay.
Low current.
Now, can we give it a tougher test? Can you really get this? I mean, we can get my 1.5-year-old to come in here and throw dirt. He's very good at throwing dirt if you need help.
Well, we'll keep adding dust. Why not?
Yeah. Hey, it's live TV. What could go wrong? Yeah.
Cover the whole thing.
Oh, now you're talking.
And what I can also do, once we de-energize that might take a few more minutes. It doesn't take too much longer.
So if that's harmful regolith, literally nothing moving, no moving parts, no gases, and it's just coming off the surface, and it still continues to work it right off.
Yep.
That's fantastic.
And what's nice is if it's on, we can't get dust to stay on it. That's also very useful.
That's fantastic because these little dust particles, as I understand on the moon, as you were just talking, are like little shards of glass. So you don't want that stuff to stick. What do you expect to happen on the moon when you do this?
Now, on the moon, we have to polarize the dust, so that takes a little bit longer. So we apply a DC field for a few seconds, a few minutes. That's based on the resistivity of the dust.
Okay, and Ray, it's been pretty fun to watch that, happen. And you had to make sure that this had good access to the regolith. How'd you do that?
Yeah, so as he mentioned, we designed this surface access arm. And so when we land on the lunar surface, that arm will deploy down, and then there's a hinge that we very specifically designed to get EDS to flatly land on the surface and get that dust up in it the way it needs to perform its science objectives. So.
And you can kick up a little more regolith if he needs it?
Yeah, well, there's other activities going on the lander that I think will really help get dust on there. The Lister drill will be running. There might even be some dust from landing, that impact kick up a little. So we'll try to get a lot of dust on your payload to help you out.
I appreciate that.
All right, very good. I want one of these for my entire house. Just punch it and all the dust goes away. Then you really have something. We are looking forward to this experiment. Thank you, Dr. Charles Buehler, for being here. Thank you for the demonstration. And Ray, appreciate your insight on how you integrate it into the payload. That's great.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Time now to tell you about another one of NASA's 10 lunar payloads. We're going to have so much more of these lunar payloads coming up in the show. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. You may have heard us mention CLPS, which is the Commercial Lunar Payload Services Program, at the beginning of the show. Let's dive a little deeper now into this relatively new NASA initiative.
Our moon It seems so close in the night sky, but getting there is really hard. But what if there was a way to change that? Only a few nations have successfully landed on the moon. As NASA sends astronauts back to the lunar surface, this time to stay, we will need to send science and technology instruments ahead of time to lay the foundation for human exploration. To make this happen, NASA is helping establish a commercial lunar economy. For the first time ever, there will be commercial delivery to the moon. We are enabling American companies to send our payloads to the lunar surface for us. These delivery services will expand our capabilities for exploration, radically increasing the amount of science we can achieve. This high-risk, high-reward initiative will invest in and leverage the entrepreneurial spirit of American innovation to launch a commercial lunar marketplace, advancing technology and exploration for all of us. With this never-before-seen streamlined access to the moon, we will be able to make novel measurements and develop technologies that scientists have long wanted to do on the lunar surface. And as this new industry matures, this commercial delivery service for NASA and other customers could expand beyond the moon to other destinations in our solar system. And we can learn to live on another world because we are explorers.
And we're getting close to liftoff, just T-minus 8 minutes and 15 seconds until launch of Firefly's Blue Ghost lander on a SpaceX rocket.
Surface, that arm will deploy down, and then there's a hinge that we very specifically designed to get EDS to flatly land on the surface and get that dust up in it the way it needs to perform its science objectives. So.
And you can kick up a little more regolith if he needs it.
Yeah, well, there's other activities going on the lander that I think will really help get dust on there. You know, the Lister drill will be running. You know, there might even be some dust from landing, that impact kick up a little. So we'll try to get a lot of dust on your payload to help you out.
I appreciate that.
All right, very good. I want one of these for my entire house. Just punch it and all the dust goes away. Then you really have something. We are looking forward to this experiment. Thank you, Dr. Charles Bueller, for being here. Thank you for the demonstration. And Ray, appreciate your insight on how you integrated into the payload. That's great.
All right, well, thank you very much.
All right, time now to tell you about another one of NASA's 10 lunar payloads. We're going to have so much more of these lunar payloads coming up in the show. We're going to get to that in just a little bit. You may have heard us mention CLPS, which is the Commercial Lunar Payload Services Program at the beginning of the show. Let's dive a little deeper now into this relatively new NASA initiative.
Our moon. It seems so close in the night sky, but getting there is really hard. But what if there was a way to change that? Only a few nations have successfully landed on the moon. As NASA sends astronauts back to the lunar surface, we will need to send science and technology instruments ahead of time to lay the foundation for human exploration. To make this happen, NASA is helping establish a commercial lunar economy. For the first time ever, there will be commercial high-reward initiative will invest in and leverage the entrepreneurial spirit of American innovation to launch a commercial lunar marketplace, advancing technology and exploration for all of us. With this never-before-seen streamlined access to the moon, we will be able to make novel measurements and develop technologies that scientists have long wanted to do on the lunar surface. And as this new industry matures, this commercial delivery service for NASA and other customers could expand beyond the moon to other destinations in our solar system. And we can learn to live on another world because we are explorers.
And we're getting close to liftoff, just T-minus 8 minutes and 15 seconds until launch of Firefly's Blue Ghost lander on a SpaceX rocket. Ray, the journey to this moment began for you and your team more than 3 years ago.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey getting here. This contract was awarded in early 2021. And so, all this work over the last few years is leading to this moment.
And you've got a pretty big team. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. We have a team of dedicated engineers, operators, technicians, and support staff that have been working tirelessly to make this mission a success. I'm incredibly proud of what our team has accomplished and what we'll continue to accomplish once Blue Ghost begins its road trip to the moon.
And what's your sense of how the team is feeling right now? You've done a ton of preparation. You've been there from the start with these folks getting ready to do this mission.
Yeah, the team right now, I think, is just filled with anticipation, excitement. I was messaging some of them earlier, and I think today it really started to set in, when you see that Falcon 9 go vertical on the pad. So just excited to finally start our journey.
And we're looking live at the Mission Operations Center in Austin, Texas, Firefly Aerospace. You can see the folks sitting there. This is the mission team. This is the team that's going to be there all the way to landing and
Engine
beyond.
chill has started.
Absolutely. So you can see all of them kind of sitting there. They're getting prepped. They're getting their consoles set up. They'll probably start getting some initial data from that first ground station, but otherwise, with the lander powered off, they're really just waiting for deployment and power on.
Ray, I'm wondering, Firefly, as a company, you've launched before, but this is the first time that you're launching to the moon. Is it different?
I think it's a little bit different. I'm sure the Alpha team, the first time they launch, they feel very similar to how I feel right now. But really for launch, it's a few hours and then your mission's over. For us, this is really just when our mission
Stage
begins.
one, fuel
and it
load
leads
complete.
into these 60 days of operations in orbit and on the surface. So it's kind of a surreal feeling. It's hard to explain.
And you get to look up at the moon at night and say, we're going there.
Yep. So I think all of us kind of started looking at the moon a little differently, leading up, the engineers would text us, 3 full moons till we launch, 2 full moons till we launch. And so you look up at night and you get filled with excitement.
Well, we are excited as well. We're going to go out and watch that launch. In the meantime, there's the moon. There's where you're headed. Let's send it back to SpaceX in California as they walk us through the final moments of the countdown.
Thanks, Daryl. At T-minus 5 minutes and 40 seconds to liftoff, all systems are currently go for an on-time liftoff at Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. And the moon was looking great, but we were waiting for a call out for the strong back retraction coming up here shortly. What's going to happen is the clamp arms around the top of the second stage, which is just below the fairing, will begin to open up. Once those clamp arms open up, then we'll begin to move the strong back away, slightly away from the vehicle. And that process will take about 20 seconds. Vehicle, the TE or transporter erector will be just about a couple degrees away from the vehicle. And then at T0, we'll move it about 45 degrees above the pad deck.
Pressing for a strong back retract.
And that will make the way for liftoff for Falcon 9. And we did hear that call out that we are preparing for strong back retraction. That should be coming up here in about 20 seconds. Now, the strong back is that vertical structure just behind the vehicle that you see there on your screen.
Strong back lower has started.
And there's that call out that the strong back retraction has begun. Now, again, what you're going to see is those clamp arms just below the fairing are going to begin to open up. And once they're fully open, that'll make way for the transporter erector to move away from the vehicle. Now the TE or the transporter erector is carrying the propellant, electrical, and gas lines to stage 2 as well as the payload. And there you can see on your screen that those clamp arms are now opening up. This is a good view here because you'll be able to see that TE start to move away from the vehicle. It's pretty slow, but you should be able to see it here in a few seconds. And there you can see that TE starting to move away from the vehicle. And once Falcon 9 commands for liftoff, hydraulic cylinders pull the strong back even further away, again to that position about 45 degrees above the pad deck. Now we are coming up on liquid oxygen loading completion at the T-minus 3 minute mark. Now, for some reason,
Stage 1 LOX load complete.
there's that call out we were waiting for. Stage one liquid oxygen loading is now complete. If for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow, January 15th at 10:09 p.m. Eastern Time. Currently, weather is green and the range is ready to support a T0 of 10:09 p.m. Eastern Time. And the landers continue to be healthy, and the Falcon 9 team is tracking no issues on the vehicle. Next coming up will be at T-minus 2 minutes. We should hear the call out for propellant
Stage
loading.
2 LOX load complete.
Right on time. That is stage 2 LOX load complete. That means propellant loading is now fully complete on Falcon 9. The vehicle is now fully loaded with 1 million pounds of kerosene fuel and liquid oxygen. And just a correction, it is 1:11 a.m. Eastern Time for liftoff tonight.
Gas launch closeouts has started.
Now that propellant loading is complete, we should begin to see venting coming from the transporter erector. That is just clearing out those propellant lines from the TE in preparation for liftoff.
Falcon 9 is in startup.
Third call out. This means that the Falcon vehicle's internal flight computers have taken over the launch countdown. We're now just waiting for the final go from the launch director.
LD, go for launch.
And great news, we are go for launch. So let's watch as Falcon 9 takes our 2 lunar payloads out to space.
T-minus 30 seconds. T-minus 15. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff. Go Firefly, go iSpace, go Falcon. Vehicles pitching downrange.
T plus 30 seconds into launch, Falcon 9 has successfully lifted off from Launch Complex 39A at Kennedy Space Center. Now the vehicle is going vertically, but it will begin to move horizontally. We're going to gimbal those.
Falcon 9 power and telemetry are nominal.
We're going to gimbal those engines. We're still going up, but now
Engine air pressure is nominal.
now we
Vehicle
will
is supersonic.
be moving horizontally, and that helps the vehicle get into orbit and avoid being pulled back down to Earth. And we are coming up on max Q. This is the largest structural load that the vehicle will see during ascent.
Max Q.
There's that call out. We've passed through max Q. And we do have a few events coming up in quick succession. That'll be MECO, stage separation, and SES-1. MECO is main engine cutoff, and that's where we will shut down all 9 of those M1D engines that you see there burning bright on your screen. That prepares the vehicle for stage separation. That's when the first and second stages separate from each other, and the first stage will begin to make its way back down to Earth, while the second stage carries the payloads and continues with its journey with SES-1, or second stage engine start 1. And that's where we will ignite the MVAC engine on the second stage. And shortly afterwards, we will have SECO, where the vehicle will coast. So we are coming up on those 3 events that I just mentioned: MECO, stage separation, and SES-1 in just about 20 seconds from now.
Yeah, they can make it through the Van Allen radiation belt. The Van Allen radiation belt doesn't have any effect on it.
Really cool tracking views here of Falcon 9 and those 9 Merlin M1D engines burning bright there.
Van Allen had brought up the radiation belt during the Mercury
MECO.
missions.
Stage
And after they
separation
investigated
confirmed.
them, they began to realize that it didn't have an effect at all. There's actually open
MVAC
pathways through the corridor space, but they don't even affect anything whatsoever.
And
They're
great
called
views.
highways.
We watched as we shut down those 9 Merlin M1D engines, stage separation, and now you can see there on your screen that MVAC engine has ignited, again carrying the 2 lunar landers aboard Falcon 9's second stage. And there on your left-hand screen, you can see that the first stage is deploying its grid fins. Those hypersonic grid fins will help guide the vehicle back down to Earth. And in about 15 seconds or so, we will also have fairing deploy. We have the fairing protecting the payloads through ascent. But once
It
we're in the
gives you the
vacuum of
illusion
space,
that
we
it's
no
going
longer need that
sideways,
protection,
because
so
why
we
is it
will
going
jettison
sideways?
those fairing halves.
Technically, it's not really going sideways. It's only appeared to be going sideways from our perspective on Earth. It's actually entering what we call a launch window. And as it pivots and
Fairing
takes a
separation
direct route
confirmed.
out of the atmosphere, it moves into an angle that takes
And
it
a
straight
really
up
cool
and through
view
the upper atmosphere into
of the
we call,
payloads encapsulated in those fairing
technically a
halves.
highway. In other
Fairing
words, what that
halves
means is where the
deploying.
magnetic
We will
fields
once again
open
attempt
up
to retrieve
and
these
let a
fairing halves once
pathway
they make their way back down
right
to
through
Earth.
the Van
And
Allen
in a
radiation
few
belt
minutes,
from
we
deep
will
space.
also have a couple more burns for our first stage to prepare it for landing on our drone ship. Just read the instructions. Now we are
Yeah, we definitely went to the
T
moon back in
plus
the day.
4 minutes and 10 seconds into today's
I
mission.
wrote a famous blog called
We're
Yes, We
currently in
Went
the
to the Moon,
first of
and
3
Yes, We
planned
Lied
MVAC
about it.
burns. Around
Because
T
they did
plus 6
show
minutes,
some fake
you should
information
see
mixed with
on
some
your
real
screen the
information.
first
Why?
stage's entry burn. Now that
Because they were
entry burn
covering up what
is
they
where we
discovered up
ignite
there. They
3 of
wanted
the
to go
Merlin
to the moon to
M1D
get
engines, and
some of
that's
these
going to be the
pieces of
E9
debris that
engine
were up there
plus
that they
the
found
E1
during
and
the
E5
low lunar
engines.
orbit
Now that helps
missions.
slow the vehicle down as it's
And
re-entering
the
back
race
into the
between
Earth's
Russia and
atmosphere.
America to the moon
Now,
was
the reason
all
why we
about
slow
getting
down the
a hand
vehicle
on
is to reduce the
technology first,
re-entry
ancient
forces, which helps
technology
us recover and
that they
reuse
saw
the
in the
first
low
stage
lunar
booster.
orbit. So the moon was a recognizance mission, period, point blank. And the mission was to present a fake image
So
to the
far,
world
everything is
while
looking
blowing up
nominal.
collecting
Stage
remnants
2
of
still
ancient
carrying our lunar
technology.
payload
That's exactly what they did.
and on a nominal trajectory. Now again, the first stage
China's been
vehicle
on
is
the moon
making
for
its
a
way back
while,
down
and
to
their
Earth. We're
lander
about
ran into a
45
huge debris
seconds
pile.
away
More
from the
evidence
entry
that
burn
there's stuff
beginning.
on the moon.
And
The
just as a
lander got
reminder, the
stuck
first
in a
stage booster
huge
that is
pile of
supporting today's
junk
mission will
that's not
perform this
current.
entry burn for the
And they
5th
were
time.
broadcasting live when it got stuck. So they sent the second mission to the
Falcon
moon.
9 is the world's first
So the other one is
orbital-class
still
rocket,
stuck in this debris.
reusable rocket.
On a
And
live
this is important
broadcast,
because
you clearly see that there were
reusability
tangled
allows
wires and
SpaceX to
what appeared
refly
to
the
be
most
bent
expensive
metal
parts of the rocket,
all over the
which in
place.
turn
How'd that
drives down
get
the
there?
cost of space access. So we do have that entry burn coming up just about 10 seconds. Again, that will be 3 engines reigniting for just about 20 seconds or so.
I can't mute her. Oh, I can mute her. There we go. Let's see.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
No, that's not mute either.
There's that call out, and on your left-hand screen, you can see that those engines have ignited. Again, helping to slow down the Falcon 9 booster as it's making its way back down to Earth.
There are ancient bases on Mars. They were destroyed.
Stage
Some are
1
still
entry
there.
burn shutdown.
Some are still there. Same thing with the moon.
And there we heard the call out as well. As you could see that the engines have shut down. That concludes the entry burn for the Falcon booster. Coming up next in about 1 minute will be SECO. That is second stage engine cutoff. And that'll basically be where we shut down that MVAC engine and allow the second stage to coast with the payloads.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
As the vehicle is making its way towards its targeted drop-off or orbit for each of the lunar landers. And just shortly after we have SECO, we'll also have the landing burn startup on the booster. So we will have a couple events happening back to back.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
Stage 1 transonic.
For the landing burn, we reignite the center E9 engine. And again, that slows the vehicle down just in time to touch down for landing. And we have SECO 1 coming up, as well as the landing burn in just a few seconds.
SECO.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Nominal orbit insertion.
Orbit insertion. They're sending the boosters back
Full
to
view of first
landing
stage,
base.
touching down for landing.
Touchdown.
Landing leg deployed. Stage 1 landing confirmed.
And there you can see on your screen, the Falcon has landed on Just Read the Instructions. That marks SpaceX's 398th recovery of an orbital class rocket, and that includes first stage landings for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy. Now we're just waiting for confirmation of good orbit.
Establishing a stable orbit for payload 1 and 2. Those payloads will then eventually find their way, after a couple orbits around Earth, slingshot to the moon, approximately about 3 to 4 days trip.
Again, we have had SECO, that is second engine cutoff 1 for that MVAC engine. And we are just waiting to confirm good orbital insertion.
We're just in anticipation of launch.
Now let's get a closer look at the moon-bound lander. Here's Ray with an overview of Blue Ghost.
Firefly's Blue Ghost lunar lander was designed for stability. It's about 6.5 feet tall and 11.5 feet wide, so it has a low center of gravity and a wide footprint. Blue Ghost has a robust communication system with 1 X-band antenna and 3 S-band antennas that enable HD video transmission from the lander to Firefly's Mission Operations Center in Texas. The lander has 3 solar panels to help power Blue Ghost and our 10 NASA payloads during transit and on the lunar surface. For propulsion, Blue Ghost has 8 RCS thrusters, or reaction control thrusters, that Firefly designed and built in-house. These thrusters help maintain the lander's orientation during maneuvers and independently perform the final descent by pulsing for a soft landing. We have 12 attitude control system thrusters that help point the spacecraft in the right direction. These are actually the same ACS thrusters we use on our Alpha rocket and Electra orbiting vehicles. Blue Ghost has 1 main engine that provides high thrust for our lunar orbit insertion and braking burn prior to landing. The lander has 4 propellant tanks that carry our hypergolic fuel and oxidizer. We have 2 pressurant tanks that carry our helium. Blue Ghost is equipped with 49 struts that connect our upper and lower panels to provide a rigid structure. These struts were built in-house using the same lightweight carbon composites we use on Firefly's launch vehicles. Blue Ghost has 4 carbon composite legs and foot pads that utilize crushed core honeycomb to absorb shock and stabilize the lander as it touches down on the lunar surface. Our foot pads have contact sensors on the bottom that signal engine shutdown upon landing. We have vision navigation software that supports landing by identifying potential hazards on the moon, such as rocks and craters, before determining the safest landing site.
Ghost Mission 1, Ghost Riders in the Sky, is delivering science and technology to the moon through NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services Initiative. This allows NASA to buy lunar delivery services from American companies.
Okay, got the volume down there. So yeah, someone asked a good question. They said, if we try to launch our own private rocket, will it get shot down? Well, the answer is if you create a private rocket and you don't register it with the governments for access to restricted airspace, because when you launch a rocket, you fly over, who knows how many, 4 different countries on your way to orbit as the Earth is rotating on its axis. And so there are intercontinental ballistics missiles that could shoot you down. SpaceX is a private rocket. It's not a publicly owned rocket. It's not a government-owned rocket. SpaceX is actually private. They get paid to launch payloads for governments and other private organizations. So technically, you can build your own rocket as long as you get it registered appropriately and pay the appropriate fees, which are probably extremely high, to be able to take payloads into space. There are some other smaller space agencies that do launch smaller rockets to deploy CubeSats. CubeSats are very small, privately owned satellites. I'm actually in the process of working on buying my own CubeSat so I can collect my own data and not have to rely on the agency's data that I want to collect for particular reasons. And I would find a very small company to charge, probably going to cost $200,000-$300,000 for the payload launch, but they can then inject my CubeSat into orbit, low Earth orbit. And that means that once the rocket gets to max Q, which we saw this particular rocket get to max Q earlier in this live launch, max Q is the angle in which it can deploy or can either accelerate beyond 33 times the speed of sound and move out into space, break through the upper atmosphere. In order to break free of Earth's gravity, you have to travel 33 times the speed of sound. And the whole secret behind Freemasonry, the ultimate secret behind it, is all about becoming a spacefaring race again. It's all about getting access back to space. That's the highest level of knowledge you can obtain as a 33-degree Mason. That's why the runway in Florida, at the space agency in Florida on the Space Coast, is runway number 33, and there's only one runway. There's not 33 runways, because you have to travel 33 times the speed of sound to break Earth's gravity, or you fall back. And they know this. So, but in max Q, in a satellite deployment, you can deploy satellites at max Q into low Earth orbit without having to break max Q, and you can bring your rocket back, or you can let it come down via parachute, and then you can actually reclaim it from the ocean, depending on the launch window and the landing windows, wherever you decide that the trajectory will take it. But this is a particular interesting situation here. We have 2 deployments which appear to be headed towards the moon. Probably one is going to orbit via satellite to collect data stream directly from the robotic lander on the surface. Now, how much of this data we're going to get to see as the general population, how much of it are we going to get access to? I have no idea. I'm just kind of curious as to what it is going to be. I am kind of curious as to what the true mission behind all this is. So I'm looking forward to kind of following it just to see what's going on. But they are utilizing more advanced transmitting technology on this on phase 1, which is pretty good because you can get HD. So we should be getting back HD photos for the very first time. We should not be getting back blurry, fuzzy photos based on the technology that's on this particular lander. And if that's accurate and they transmit back what they say they are, we should get to see some real super high quality HD photos. Will they obfuscate them before we get them? If there's something in them, they might. I'm not sure, but I'm really curious to see if there will be obfuscation, if we will get true data, and if we will get any live feeds as well. If they decide to do any live feeds, they could slip up, and we might get a chance to take a sneak peek at something that we might not have been, might not supposed to see. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Okay. Just a curious situation. I kind of just popped in when I got notification that there was going to be a live launch. I know I kind of surprised everyone late night in some places. Right now I'm in the mountains in Colorado, so for me it might be slightly earlier. It's around 11:30 p.m. now. But when I saw the opportunity to just kind of pop on and share that live stream, I said, let me just do it. You never know what's going to happen in a live launch. It could take off perfect, and sometimes they blow up. But also, I think it's good sometimes for people to see and hear some of the control room and some of the control talk, some of the science behind how these things work. Whether I don't agree with everything NASA does, but one thing I got to tell you is that rockets really do launch. They really are loaded with fuel. They have payloads, and they cost hundreds of millions of dollars. And these payloads are part of the Starlink satellite system and many other satellites that have to do with so many other aspects of what we need on a day-to-day basis: GPS, topography, global weather. All that's done because of these launches. Those launches make that possible. And so, yeah, the science is real. Launching is real. Satellites, I'm sorry if you don't believe it, but they're real. And without them, we would be cast back into the Stone Ages. So anyway, that's what's going on. Just wanted to pop in and give y'all a little launch action, see what was going on there. I wasn't sure how it was going to go, good, bad, or indifferent. I just wanted to kind of share that live launch with y'all, okay? I've been working all day out here in Colorado. I just spent the day filming at Gaia. Had some great time at Gaia filming. Got to link up with my great friend, Regina Meredith. Again, I haven't talked to her in quite a while. I haven't seen her in a few years. So it was really good to get back with Regina Meredith and spend some time with her and to film another episode of Open Minds on Gaia, which is coming very soon. And got to spend some time with some of the other executives there and brainstorm and come up with some cool and great ideas. I think there's going to be a lot of exciting things coming, working between Forbidden Knowledge and Gaia in the very, very near future. So I'm excited about that as well. Anyway, thanks for hanging out tonight. Don't forget, I can be your mentor. I can be your mentor for 7 days. Try it for 7 days. Try my mentorship program for 7 days. I just dropped a link in the live chat. And go register for free for 7 days. Click that link and sign up for free to the Forbidden Knowledge Academy. That's the 4bkacademy.com. If you're listening on a live stream and you don't see a link, 4bkacademy.com. So far, there are 1,700 incredible leaders that have taken the leap and joined my program and are very, very happy. We're changing lives in there. It's Find Your Tribe season. So find your tribe and join the academy, and I will be your mentor. Give me a try. Give me 7 days. If you don't like it, you have nothing to lose. But when you get in there, make sure you go to work. Start with downloading the declaration, reading it, signing it, and then posting it inside the school group. And then start going down all the different exercises and watching the 150 hours of training, content, and videos, along with attending my live streams. Just tonight, we just gave away during our live mentoring session, $100 cash. And every week we're giving away $100 cash. Francesca won tonight. Last week was the first time we did it. Tim won last week. And we'll continue to do this every single week. We have what we call the Wheel of Abundance, where a wheel really spins live during the actual mentoring session. And all the names are inside of there from the entire registration. And then a winner is chosen. And you have to be on the live mentoring session to get paid. And we send you the money right away. All right. Anyway, click that link. I dropped it in the live chat again. Or go to 4bkacademy.com. And I'll see you there. Peace.